So congratulations on this new single, Out of My Head.
Thank
I've
you.
listened to it and several of your other stuff, and
Yeah.
I feel like you have such an amazing voice. I'm very drawn to these powerful voices, and you definitely have uh, a voice that's unique and powerful. How has it been, kind of developing that style, that vocal technique that you've used throughout your music?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I know you listen to a ton of music, so thank you for the compliment. That's really nice. On the how I developed my voice, I come from classical training, and I grew up kind of singing uh, theater, opera style, things like that. And I would say that my training in kind of more the operatic side definitely really helped me. I remember specifically one of my teachers, he was saying to me that dynamics are so important, and how we use our voice, we use it to tell a story, and you get lighter and you get deeper and darker in your tone and different parts. And so I used to play with a lot of those colors when I was doing my classic work. And then when I started to record, as I was maturing and working on my project, that became really important. Some of it I was doing naturally just from the training, and some of it I would really like lean into because I love storytelling in all senses. And so vocally, I like to tell a story as well.
And I've been reading that from an early age, you were really into poetry and you incorporated that to music. How
Yeah.
has it been going from, being a young person writing poetry in your notebook to recording multiple singles now?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild. I mean, like that was just my outlet as a younger person, that was just what I did. Everybody's got their thing. And I was also really into singing, and so that was just like, we're talking like I was really young here, but I really wanted to combine my loves. And so one day I just sort of sat down and I wrote my first song because I knew that that was just something you could do. I had a cousin who was a songwriter and producer, and so I just thought to myself, why don't I do that? Why don't I just combine my poetry with music? And so my first experience writing a song, I actually ended up recording that song like in his house and having a demo. So for me, the second that I decided that I wanted to kind of transfer my poetry into music, right away I kind of was in the studio. I mean, really different than some of the studios I'm in today, but but the whole like home studio and being able to create something out of nothing and walking away with it, and you know making it into like a little masterpiece, like that was something I learned day one, and it's so special. I mean, that same process is the same then as it is now, and I'm just as excited about it. No matter what the venue is or who I'm working with or opportunity that comes, there's still like that kid who just is like a super big poetry nerd that like gets to do that every day.
Definitely. How difficult was it for you, or what was the process for you making that choice to turn your passion into your career?
I think it was just natural. Like, I think I just loved music. I was clearly singing and doing all of that stuff, and so I think poetry was a place I was really vulnerable, and I wasn't maybe as vulnerable with singing. Like, I just knew I loved it. And I think when you make really great music, there's so much vulnerability to it, and I think that was like for writing and being a part of the process and really giving of myself and what I was inspired by and what was hitting me that day, that to me added a lot of vulnerability. And then I think I was like, this is really what I want to do. Like, I just like couldn't look back. I was just obsessed with it. So I just knew the second I did it that that was going to be my life and what I was going to do professionally. There was like no other option.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about your cousin supporting you, but I've read in interviews that your father supported you as well. How important is that family support? How has that played a role in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I started really young, and so I think it was really important for me to have that support because I was running around the studios. I mean, I was so young that I couldn't have physically done it myself. I was, living part of the time in Manhattan just so I could go back to the studio, and then I would go to school in the morning, and my parents would drive me. So I think it was really important to at least have them understand that this was something I really loved and I was really serious about, even as a young person, because that allowed me to have opportunities that maybe I wouldn't have been able to say yes to at that age.
Definitely. And going from your single Naked, which is one of your first singles,
Yeah.
to Out of My Head now, which that the growth in your skills and your talent is apparent.
Thank you.
What has changed in you from that first single to your newest single?
Yeah, I mean, so for Naked, it was really great because I had that song before I had taken a trip to Europe, and that really was very life changing for me. That trip, I really kind of dug back into things what I really love about music, and um, funny enough, Out of My Head came from being on that trip, and that was the first song that I did that I was like, wow, I remember who I am now. And it brought a lot of back that, there's a little bit of choir and very classicness to that song on the top line and vocal side. And so I think I just pulled on who I was and who I've always been. And Naked, I love it, and it's an incredible pop song, and it just like it kind of pulled on like a different part of me that's just um and I remember the process of doing that one, we couldn't really find the right production. There was like, it wasn't landing totally right. And then on that same trip, right after I'd made Out of My Head, I met Stargate, who, you know, you know, after that point really came on and became mentors to me and gave me a lot of permission, kind of maybe that I'd never had, that I needed. I think like you always want to meet people that give you permission to be who you really are and celebrate that. And I hadn't really had that experience until I met them. And so they jumped on and finished the production of Naked. And I think what made that really special was that it was this awesome collaboration with these people who really believed in me. And it was a pop focused record, and they're like the kings of pop, and R&B, and that worked that way. And it was very much like a marriage of that, marriage of their world and my world. And I think Out of My Head, the growth, I think, is just that was in the mentality then, and I'm in the mentality that I want to take risks with my music. And if it's left, or it's theatrical, or it's very multi-layered, and people don't do that on radio these days, that I'm going to do it, because I think that that's just who I am, and that's the music I make and love, and I hope that people love that too.
Definitely, your music is very worldly, and it shows from your experience collaborating with people from London, Sweden, South
Yeah.
Korea. How has those collaborations inspired your change in style?
I think I'm just somebody who thinks that the world is very big. And so when I think about music, and I also love classic music for that reason. I'm a very classic person, and the way I dress, the way I act, the kind of music that I like, and the messages. And I think that I just want to bring people in. I think there's things that are very universal, and I think traveling has made me really feel that. Um, what I love about Sweden is I really embrace that side of me that's like multi-layered harmonies, choir, very tight vocals, and things like that. And so even though they're all the way on the other side of the world, like halfway around the world from me, we have a lot of similarities in the way we approach things. And so I've always just, while I'm come from the East Coast, I live in the West Coast, I'm very much American. I just have always had a love for the world, and think that there's a lot to be learned by people who don't live where I live. And I kind of try to bring that back with me wherever I go, even if it's a small thing. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, where does your enthusiasm for K-pop come in?
So I was in a camp. I was writing for a Fifth Harmony artist. I was just brought in by a friend, and they were like, "Yeah, you go in there. Like, you're an artist, write with her." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So I spent the day. It was like me and another artist, and then this member of Fifth Harmony, and we had a really great session. And so the guy who had asked me to do that said, "You want to come to Korea?" I was like, "When?" He's like, "In 2 days from now." And I had no idea why he was asking me. He's like, "Yeah, I want you to come write in Korea." I was okay, so I said yes, because it was just the opportunity of a lifetime. I'd never been to Asia. I'd never been anywhere there, and I always wanted to go. And I, I had said, I've done some K-pop stuff. I've worked with some really talented people in that space, but I'm definitely new to it. I don't know everything. And he basically said to me, "I think that's what makes you special. I think you'll come and you get it, but you bring something really different. And so that's why I want you to come with us." And so I came, and I mean, it was amazing. I mean, Korea is just such a cool place, first off. There is like an anime, like fantasy nerd in me that just like, that's who I am. And so I really vibe with K-pop and all the visuals and everything. So from that perspective, that was already like, I was hooked instantaneously. And then I went to go work with a label there and work on some music, and we did a song that became a hit record called Black Mamba. And I think we just got each other. I think I love, anything throwback. We had a very similar taste, and we just made something really incredible and modern and cool. And it did really well. I mean, I think we're like 150 million streams later or something like that on a first song for an artist that they just released, so it was named aespa. So yeah, it was kind of random, the whole thing, but it's like opened up this whole world for me that I maybe hadn't been as exposed to, and now I get to really play around and have so much fun with it, and it is so fun.
Awesome. And you have to break free from like kind of these boxes producers were putting you in, trying to mold you into different people who were hitting the charts big. How has that helped you improve on who you are as a person, and kind of embrace more of your self-image rather than this is what is selling right now?
Yeah, I think that something that even like the song talks about, right, is that we have a lot of, you know, expectations on ourselves, and like expectations from others. And I think we think, hey, if I listen to this person, hey, if I do this thing, if I adjust or mold in this way, and if I do this for a period of time, well, I get where I want to go. And sometimes you do that. I did that. I've been guilty of doing that before. And I think I just noticed that I would lead myself down a path of frustration. I would end up not where I thought I would be. I made those decisions. I did this thing. I listened to these people. I let them guide me. And I didn't get what I wanted out of it. I'm not where I want to be. And so I think the only way to combat that is just to do what you really love and feel really confident in. Because then at the end of the day, art's subjective, right? Like, I don't know if someone's going to like the art that I do, but I think if I feel good about myself and I feel really proud, then that's something that I can stand on. And then it's not just about, the result, or if people love it and it ends up someplace. I mean, that's always the goal, right? You want that to happen, but you can't put something out and know that's going to be the case. You can't put things out with the intention that this moment is going to happen with this song. You just have to put something out you really, truly love. And then whatever happens, happens. And I think, like, out of my head, I truly think it's a beautiful piece of work. We've worked very hard on it. It's gone through many transitions. It had so much of it was the first day. And then over the last year, we've, really tried to hone in on the production, exactly how we wanted it. And it's something I'm really proud of. And I've had tons of people tell me over the years, that they think it's too big, or they think it's too this or too that. And, I've made the changes that I want to make, and I'm so stoked about it. And I can't listen to every single person. If I did, I wouldn't be me anymore, you know? And that, I think, was what was happening, was I was just becoming like a figment of myself. I wasn't really myself anymore, and I was really upset and frustrated, and I didn't feel good about myself at that time.
Out of My Head is a beautiful song. I really enjoyed hearing it so far.
Thank
Um, what can people expect from it? Like when it comes out, what do you hope people get out of it?
I think that they feel not alone in that frustration. I mean, clearly it's just you're saying, I did what I'm supposed to do, and now I feel like I'm going crazy because I wanted this thing. I wanted it so badly. I wanted it to work out. I wanted it to be this way, and it wasn't. And I think that's a part of life, and that frustration doesn't make someone alone. I think a lot of people feel that way, and sometimes you can feel like you're crazy for wanting the reality that you want, but that's part of life. And so I think what I try to make music of is just, sometimes there's no like resolve. Sometimes it's just okay to express an emotion, and I express them all the time, and I feel that way, and I can feel crazy for feeling that way, right? You can feel so lucky and so grateful for all the things that you have, but you still have these goals. You're still doing all these things, and you want things to be a certain way. So I just hope that people feel comforted by that, that there's someone else out there who like gets that, and they just rock out to it, right? Like, I'm just so freaking frustrated right now, and like I'm going out of my head, and sometimes just expressing that or screaming to a song definitely makes you feel better. I've had so many times when that has. So I hope that happens.
Definitely it does. It's a beautiful song. I really enjoyed it. I want to thank you very much for your time. You're an incredible artist, and I hope to continue hearing more from you because I enjoy hearing your evolution in music style.
Thank you. You definitely will. We have a lot coming. We have a lot of songs coming. We have an EP that's dropping. We're dropping a few more singles, and then the whole EP comes out in a few months. So